What's going on YouTube? So far this year we've sampled the 2021 XC40 and XC90, but now it's time for the middle child and the most popular product in their lineup, the Volvo XC60. And just like with those other models, Volvo has made a variety of changes for 2021. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right in. So like always, I'll start out up in the front where there haven't really been any significant changes for 2021. Now Volvo does change the grille design depending on the trim level. So here on this inscription, you'll notice we have chrome around the outside edges as well as chrome bars in the middle. If you choose the Momentum trim level, that will get rid of the chrome bars in the middle. And then if you go for the sporty R design model, that's going to substitute in a black mesh throughout here. And then coming over here to your headlights, of course you've got the signature Volvo design with the cool Thor's hammer and a full LED unit. One of the changes for 2021 though is that you actually have standard adaptive abilities this year across all of the trim levels. And then down below you're going to notice LED fog lights, and these are actually also standard this year across all of the trim levels. Now one of the things I appreciate about this XC60 is that Volvo gives you an extremely wide breadth of wheel options that you can choose between, starting all the way at 18-inch alloys, 19-inch alloys, 20-inch alloys, or all the way up to 21-inch alloys, depending on the trim level that you select. These here are the 20-inch alloys that are optional on the inscription. Now, jumping on up here to our mirrors, this is one 2021 update because Volvo now throws in all the features standard across the board. So you already had heating, but you now have standard auto dimming, power folding, and blind spot monitoring across the lineup. Now let's walk around to the rear design of this XC60. Now what you're going to notice compared to its bigger brother XC90 is that this has a little bit more of a sportier and squattier appearance, especially here in the rear design. Now, as far as your individual elements, you are going to have the signature Volvo LED taillights. These are actually going to be fully LED, which is a really nice touch. And then dropping down, we do have some chrome accenting. And then as far as the diffuser area, you do have dual horizontal exhaust outlets on most of the XC60 lineup. However, if you go for the Momentum model, they do swap these horizontal outlets out for circular outlets. Now Volvo markets itself as a very safe vehicle brand, so sticking with that, this XC60 is going to have their entire suite of safety systems standard on all of the models. That's going to be more safety systems than I can even name, and Volvo does also offer their Pilot Assist system, which is a semi-autonomous driving system available through the Advanced package. Well guys, that sums up the classy yet sporty exterior design of this Volvo XC60, but I know that Volvos have really nice interiors, so let's go ahead and check that out. But before we do that, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below to really help us out. So for 2021, one of our updates is that the Smart Entry system is now standard on all the trim levels, including the base Momentum trim. And as you can see, you do continue to have that typical Volvo key fob, which is covered in leather if you choose the R design or the inscription trims. And finally, remote start is available via the Volvo On-Call app, free for 40 years. Now, to get inside the vehicle itself, there is a sensor, so just touch behind the handle. And taking our first glance inside, of course, just like in previous model years, it really has a lot of influence and is very, very similar to that flagship XC90. And one of the best things about this XC60 is that it's got just about as many interior options as that flagship model. So starting on your base Momentum, that comes standard with real leather seating in your choice of blonde, charcoal, or maroon colors, and it does have a fabric option as well if you want something more unique. When you go to the R design, that comes with Napa leather with textile inserts, and that has the choices of charcoal or slate gray colors. And finally, when you get up to this model, the Inscription, that comes with full Napa leather seating in your choice of blonde, charcoal, maroon, or this lovely amber. And it also has the wool option from the XC90, which is really, really cool. Now turning over here to your door trim, you'll notice the same materials reflected up here. So the armrest is going to be covered in leather with a color contrast stitching detail as well as above it. And then all the plastics through here will be soft touch. You will find standard 2-person memory seating, and of course all 4 of the windows will be one-touch automatic. Checking out the seats themselves, you start with a 10-way power adjusting seat on the Momentum. When you choose the R design or the Inscription, you add power adjusting bolsters and the thigh extension. However, I do want to point out that the luxury package has been eliminated for 2021, so that inside of that was massaging, so you can no longer get that. But of course, as far as the seats themselves, these are some of the best in the business. Really a great ergonomic shape, and they feel and look really, really nice. Now, as I said in previous XC60 reviews, on board you really have some of the best materials in the class, and that does carry over for 2021. So across your upper dash, you're going to find a full leather dashboard. This is included on all but the base Momentum trim, and the leather does continue through this middle area as well with the color contrast stitching detail. Down below that, we have some open pore genuine wood trim. You can get a wide variety of different woods and aluminum options depending on your trim level. And then down below, you'll see more of that wood continue through here, though you do have a hard touch plastic piece that runs along the console. Now to start up every version of the XC60, just twist this knob. And as far as your gauges, what you're looking at is the signature Volvo 12.3-inch full reconfigurable setup. As you can tell, different parts of this are reconfigurable, including the map display right there in the middle, and you can also pop up some information right here to make adjustments. Now, in addition to that, on this specific model, we have the Advanced package, and that throws in the head-up display. Now coming back to the steering wheel, we have electric power assisted steering, and you will find a nice leather wrapped wheel across all the models. Now some of the trim levels with different interior color combinations, they will have the two-tone setup, though ours is all black. Now as far as the wheel itself, it is going to be a manual tilt and telescoping across all the trim levels, and then heating is available as an option on all the trim levels via the Climate package. Alright, but now let's go ahead and try out the interior storage, because this is one area that has changed a bit this year. So we'll start out underneath the center console. This part has not changed. So you still continue to find a really nice amount of space with a felt lining on the sides as well as a rubber mat on the bottom and 2 USB ports. Then we grab out our coupons, which the stack does grow in size day by day. We'll stick these in here. Looks like we can probably fold them in half. And it's going to be a little bit tight, but it does fit in there just fine. Now when we slide back this piece of wood, this is where you're going to notice some updates. So your cup holders have been moved back a little bit to right here, and we now have a wireless phone charging pad. So this is brand new to the XC60, and it is optional across all the models. Now up in front of that, you have another really small amount of space and a 12-volt outlet. Now turning our attention here to the shifter, since this is the T5 model, we have the standard shifter. If you choose to have the new Recharge model, that's going to have the cool crystal shifter. But this one here just works, in the typical way, so you pull back for drive, and you can bump over here to the left if you want to do some manual shifting. However, I will note that for 2021, the R design has lost its paddle shifters. And then jumping into reverse, you will be greeted with a standard backup camera, of course, with active trajectory. However, on this example, we have the advanced package, so that's going to throw in the 360-degree camera system, which can be activated just like that. And then you can toggle even to individual modes, so you can check the side, make sure you're not going to rub the curb or something like that. And then you also have automatic parallel and perpendicular parking abilities. And then right behind the shifter, this is where you'll find your drive mode control roller. You'll also find your electronic parking brake and your auto brake hold function. Now continuing our journey up the dashboard, the next thing you're going to arrive at are your audio controls. Now this XC60 has the 600 watt 14 speaker Harman Kardon sound system that most of the models will come equipped with. So let's go ahead and sample it. So overall sound quality of this system is excellent. So unless you're a super audiophile, you probably won't need to get the Bower & Wilkins sound system, though I can attest that that sound system is one of the best in the entire auto industry. Okay, so now we're up here at our 9-inch Sensus display. This does remain the same for 2021. And I'll start out with our climate controls. So on this model, we've got the 4-zone automatic climate control set up. It is standard on our design and description. So for your front 2 people, you're just going to slide this slider up and down to adjust the temperature, and you can click over here if you want to adjust the fan speeds and these zones. Now over here, you're going to notice your seat controls. Now this is one area that's changed for 2021. So now heated seats are going to be standard on the R design and the inscription for 2021. Seat ventilation is going to be standard now on the inscription only. So previously both of those used to be optional. And jumping into the display itself, you continue to have the tabbed interface like in previous model years. So you just tap on something, it will expand out. You will notice most of the models will have standard navigation, which can fill up the entire display. And if you don't want to use Volvo's integrated navigation system, you can swipe over here to the side and open up Android Auto or Apple CarPlay abilities, which are standard across the board. Now moving on up here, we will find an auto dimming mirror with a built-in compass and HomeLink universal remote, standard on all but the base momentum trim. Then up at the very top, we'll find a panoramic moonroof, which is actually standard on all of the trim levels. And as you can see, this is a very large piece of glass, goes all the way back past the second row headrest, and the front portion will open right up. Now this XC60's rear seat is a very, very nice place to spend time, as it is with pretty much any Volvo model. Now as far as the space itself is going to be concerned, it's going to be rated at 38 inches of both leg and headroom, which does place it right on par with that of its rivals like the Audi Q5, and it is actually larger than the bigger brother XC90. Now as far as behind rear seating position, I would say 5 to 6 inches of rear leg room, and my feet can easily slide up underneath the seat, so certainly very comfortable. Now they also have thrown in a lot of features in this rear seat. So we do have 4-zone climate control, which is a very impressive feature for this segment of vehicle. And then we have our vents down below that. It's also worth noting that heated rear seats are available in the climate package. Then dropping further below that, we do have 2 charging or 2 USB Type-C ports. That is new for 2021, as are these bolster seats. If you recall, in previous Volvos, they have the bolster seat in the middle. Now they've actually integrated it into each of these seats, and all you have to do to take it out is just lift that lever, and it will pop right out. Then as far as the center armrest, we do have a little storage compartment, and in the end, we have pop-out cup holders. Now walking up to the tailgate, Volvo has nicely included a hands-free power one standard across the entire board. So just wave your foot under the bumper to open it up.
And once it opens up, you're going to find a really large amount of space for this vehicle. So you're going to find 22 cubic feet behind the second row seats. That expands to 63 cubic feet if you fold them, and that does actually make it the largest among its main rivals like the Audi Q5, BMW X3, and Mercedes GLC. And as far as how Volvo has finished it, of course it's finished very nicely. So up underneath of the floor here, we do have a nice carpeting, and if we lift it up, there is a spare tire. Off to the side, we do have a net with another little storage cubby, a 12-volt power outlet, and we also have cargo covers up top. Now, Volvo is famous for their seats, so you are going to have the same adjustments as the driver over here on the passenger side, and that does also include two-person memory. And in front of the passenger, we have a absolutely massive glove box. I have to say, this really just tickles me because it eats these coupons alive in here. There is tons of space. It's a really nice felt-lined glove box, and you can also make it a refrigerator if you pull this little tab right here. Now up top, we do have a sun visor with an LED light and mirror, and you can also detach it. However, you cannot extend.
Okay, so there was our initial acceleration. This is the T5 model. So for those of you familiar with the Volvo lineup, that's actually going to be your entry-level engine with this XC60. So this is a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, 250 horsepower, 258 pound-feet of torque. Like I said, that is your standard option. Then the lineup escalates from there. So you have the T6, which is also a pretty popular offering. That's going to add a supercharger to the same engine and further bump that power up
to 310 horsepower for that T6. And then there's also the T8 model, which is being rebranded as the Recharge, and you will start to see more Volvos as the T8 since Volvo's pushing for that electrification, and that's going to have 400 horsepower, so that's going to be kind of your performance option as well as efficiency based.
And there is even a Polestar engineered model, even more power. As you can see, you've got a lot of choices when it comes to this middle Volvo in the lineup. You know, they let you equip it how you want to. You know, you can get, you know, a standard like this model here. This has the same amount of power as most of the competition, but you also have a lot of performance options that you can pick. I'm going to go ahead and mention the transmission. So it's got an 8-speed automatic transmission on board, like most of the Volvo lineup. And as I said in other Volvo products, very smooth transmission, shifts very nice and seamlessly in the background. We're in the comfort mode right now. When you choose to put it in dynamic mode, that crisps up the response of the transmission to have a little bit more firm shifts. But as far as like in the comfort mode, which I think most people will be using, really blends into the background.
Then as far as your drivetrains, you have standard front wheel drive as well as optional all-wheel drive across the engines. We're just kind of cruising along here. This XC60 is, it's in the luxury crossover segment. So its main mission is to be a very comfortable, family-focused luxury crossover. And just kind of cruising along here, I want to mention that this XC60 really doesn't ride any different than something like the XC90, which is certainly a fantastic thing. It's a super comfortable ride. I mean, not to mention the super comfortable seats that Volvo is known for. So you really just have a very luxury experience in here. And I do also want to get a sound level reading going along here so you can see just how luxurious it is in here. We're going around 45 miles per hour. And we are looking at around 52 decibels, going 45, which that is a smidge, lower speed than what we normally test at. But I audibly I can't really hear much difference than like an XC90, so you're really going to be pleasantly surprised with the noise level as well. Alright, so let's go ahead and mention our airball and slam dunk for the XC60. Now, just looking from this test drive perspective, you can probably tell what it's going to be for our slam dunk, and it's going to be just this super luxurious cabin. This one, as equipped, is really no more expensive than the competition. However, you're getting really cool elements like a leather dashboard, this beautiful wood trim. This is a fantastic cabin, I have to say. It's just really seems a class above.
Yeah, it feels special, I think, is what really gets our attention. Now, there's going to be one caveat, and that is going to be what we identify as today's airball, and that's going to be interior storage. There's not a great deal of space to stick like loose items. You'll notice here we've got one phone that's right here on this wireless phone charging pad, which is new this year, and I like that addition. But as far as anything else, like the key fob is just kind of wedged in here. This doesn't have a good spot. I wish there was like a little storage bin up here in the front.
Now I will go ahead and mention the fuel economies for the XC60. So for this T5, it's going to be right at 25 combined if you go for front wheel drive, 24 if you go for all wheel drive, and then the T6 is all wheel drive only, and that's going to be right at 23 combined. If you're interested in that recharged T8 model, that's going to have a 57 mpge rating, so that's going to be your most efficient option. Now, like we kind of alluded to earlier, that this is no more expensive than the competition. The pricing is a pretty attractive area for this XC60. So the Momentum's going to start at $41,700, our Design $47,850, and Inscription $49,200. Now, this particular model does have quite a few options on it, and we do have a $57,000 total price for this one, which, like I mentioned earlier, is pretty much in line with the fully loaded versions of the competition, like the Audi Q5. The GLC can actually get more expensive than that, so you're looking at a very good price point that's competitive with the German rivals.
So overall, I think this XC60 really continues to be a unique offering inside of the segment. I said it before, I'll say it again. You know, the German competition is really strong, but there's something about the Volvo products that have you know, some uniqueness, some more character, and you really get a lot of just special touches when you choose to have an XC60. Well guys, that's all for this in-depth review of the gorgeous 2021 Volvo XC60 Inscription. We really hope you enjoyed watching this video, and if you did, be sure to help us out by hitting that subscribe button down below. And when you do, that will show you tons and tons of our content across the entire Volvo lineup, as well as this vehicle's competitive set like the Mercedes GLC and BMW X3. But anyway, we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.